Hi, everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Whole Woman Television Show. It is so good to have you guys joining me today. And my guest today is Mrs. Melva Nottage. And Miss Nottage is an amazing woman. She's beautiful, as you can see. Gorgeous woman, a businesswoman, one that has walked a journey. And she is here to tell us about that journey. We're going to go to a commercial break, and we'll be right back after these messages.
You could go ahead and tiptoe through your life, digging in the dirt, you can stress on the strife, but I'm gonna fly past the worry and the pain today. I'm flying on faith, I'm flying on faith. You could cry all night.
This is gonna suck. Biore charcoal cleansers suck out 2 times more dirt, oil, and impurities. That's why Biore charcoal sucks. Better. Biore. Free your pores.
You always going so fast, burning it up. You got you running like that, right past what you want. So do like I do, and move like I move. Feel that magic down in your shoes. That's why I'm walking like this. That's why I'm walking like this. Yeah. You always moving so fast, breaking your neck. You've been running so far that you ain't got there yet. So do what I do and slow down the groove. I got that magic down in my shoes. That's why I'm walking like this. Hey, hey. That's why I'm walking like this. Hey, hey. That's why I'm walking like this. Like this. Woo! Everybody feels so much better. Everybody win when they be walking like this. Get a little heat down there. Put a little jump in your toes. No matter if they stop and stare, you go. Slow it down, keep your feet on the ground.
Welcome back. Before we went to the break, I was telling you I had this beautiful lady with me who is just an amazing woman. Her name is Mrs. Melva Nottage. Melva, it is so good to have you with me today.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
I am looking forward to us having a good time because we didn't do this. We didn't get to know each other, and we're on a roll now.
Yes, we are. We
So I'm excited about it.
definitely.
Let's jump right into the show today. We're here to talk about a lot of things, but one of them I think is something that I am very, very passionate about, the words that we speak and the things that we say to people. But before we get to that, let's talk a little bit about your childhood and how beautiful it was and how you enjoyed your childhood.
Okay. Well, as a child, I was very, I would say I was a very happy child. Very, very
Mm,
happy. I loved singing. Um, played a lot with my siblings, and my mom and dad. We had a close knit relationship where, um, especially my dad, he used to crack on us a lot. And that's where all of us got our smart mouth from. So we rap on each other hard. So anytime we have friends over, they used to be like our house was like the Cosby's because we always just cracking on each other, and they'd be like, "Where y'all find these things from?" I can remember one thing I used to always share with friends is one time I had asked my dad, I was like, because we asked for everything, even if we wanted to get water out of the fridge, we would ask. That was how
mhm.
we were brought up. And I was like, well, Daddy, can I watch TV, please? And he was like, sure. And I jumped up to go and turn it on, and he was like, just don't turn it on. But you can watch it. And he thought that was the funniest thing, and I was like, that was not funny. But it was like all day. It was like things like that, and we were so used to it, and we grew up in it because that was what was the norm for us. And
Yes,
so, if that's what you have at home, you're thinking the whole world is like that.
yes,
Everybody
yeah,
is just fun and laughing, and then you get confused when you find out that no, that's not how it works. You
hmm
know, there are people out there that are just
evil, plain evil,
mm,
you know. And the thing that gets me is you talk about your childhood and how beautiful it was. A lot of times people think that when they find people that have issues and stuff, they think it's because they come from a bad home or something like that, not realizing that, like you say, you come from a home of love and caring, but then you bump into somebody who is supposed to be caring about you and who's supposed to be there supporting you and being what they're supposed to be, and they're the ones that break you really. Let's talk about the day, the incident, the day when um, the incident that kind of shaped your life, shifted your life, took place. Let's talk about that.
okay. This would have been the fourth grade.
Mm,
We lived close to the school, and I won't call the school name, but and prior to me getting to the fourth grade, I was very happy. I always took part in any activities that the school had. I was always chosen to sing. We called it assembly back in the day. Some
mhm.
schools now call it
Yeah.
chapel or whatever, but we called it assembly, where all of the grades would meet in the courtyard, and we would each class would have their time to do whatever activities that were assigned for them to do. And of course, I was chosen to sing.
Mm,
And this particular teacher that I had, she even before I did the performance, I knew that she was not very nice to some of the students, the ones that
mhm,
were not considered the favorites, the teachers'
mm,
favorites. So when they chose me to sing, and so once I went up, I sang, and I can remember being so comfortable because I can remember having the mic in my hand, and I was singing to myself. I was looking at the little switch, and I can remember
mhm.
that as clear as day. And I was looking at the little switch as I was singing, and this is how comfortable I was. I was like, I wonder if I switch this off. If I switch this, what'll happen? But I didn't do it,
Mhm.
that's just to say how comfortable I was.
Comfort. Mhm,
And I'm just
mhm.
singing, and when I was done, everybody clapped, and so many times I would even forget to tell my mom, well, I'm singing today or I'm doing this today, because she would come and watch. And
Yeah.
that because it was like just another thing for me. It was no big deal. And when I came down, like I said, everybody clapped. And but when we got back to the classroom, she was like, well, I don't know why they always choosing you to sing, because you can't sing. And she was like, you sounded horrible. And
Mm,
I was so shocked, because I was like, who says that to a child? And
mm.
all the other children started laughing, and I
Wow.
just felt, I almost felt like, I always compare it to like a turtle just pulling back in the shell, like,
Mm,
I just felt so small, and I was like, I said nothing, because what do you say to that? How do you tell an adult, you don't say that. That's
mm,
not nice. You don't say that, because then you would be considered being rude, or, and that would have cost me to have another punishment or what have you. So I said nothing. But when I went home, I told my mom, and
mhm.
she was very upset, very, very
Wow.
upset. She
Mhm,
wanted to come up to the school and address it. And I
mhm,
told her, I didn't want her to go. I didn't want her to come up to the school, because I had seen what happened to other students who would have tell their parents about stuff that happened. Once the teacher would ask us, "Oh no, that's not how it was. She
mhm,
misunderstood. Oh no, and she's such a nice child." And as soon as the parent leaves, that child would get a spanking, would be punished, and then they would tell them about, and if you tell your mom when she leaves again, you will get it again, and so I didn't want that to happen to me. So I can remember crying and telling her, no, I don't want her to come, and I don't want to. So she didn't address that, even though I know there were times that she had to come up to the school for different things. So what I did
Mm-hmm.
was I started hiding, the stuff that she was doing and saying, because I can remember on another occasion, because we were being in the fourth grade, they were
Mm-hmm.
asked they were asking the students for information like where do you live and your phone number and what have you. So they would call each student up to the desk, and the teacher would fill out the form because we were still small, just to make sure the information was accurate.
Was
And I
correct,
can
yes.
remember, right, and she asked me, where do I live? So at this
Mm.
point, we had moved and we were living out Winton. And I told her, well, I live Winton Meadows. And she was like, you live Winton Meadows? Like, like,
You ain't
out
good
there.
enough for that.
Right. So when she said that,
Wow.
I can remember thinking to myself, because my mom, she took excellent care of us. She had four
Mm.
girls, and
Mm-hmm.
each of us had five uniforms, which she washed every weekend, and she had us pressed down like they went to the laundry. And so you're saying to yourself, well, I know I am clean. I know
Mm.
we're clean and
Mm.
what have you. So it must be me that don't
Mm.
look like I deserve
Like
to
you
be in that
deserve.
area.
Mm.
So you say nothing again. You just accept it as for what it is. And
Mm-hmm.
so it started. I never sang again at that school ever. I never.
Wow.
I never. And even today, there's still a fear.
Mm.
So you have that voice where it sounds like it's shaken because of what happened prior. But
Mm-hmm.
that from that day, it started a trend of me, not wanting to do a lot of things, not wanting,
Mm.
just talking myself out of it, because I was like, this is not how people are supposed to be. People are supposed to be fun and
Caring
telling
and
jokes, and to see that someone would do that and openly in front of all the other students,
students.
just for
The
no
thing
reason.
the thing that gets me, Melva, is the fact that this was supposed to have been a teacher that was supposed to have been feeding your drives and your beliefs and your dreams, helping you to build and grow at 5 years old. She's taking everything and destroying everything that your mother and your father had built in you, and she took those words and the things that she was doing to you and destroying who you are. And I want to stick a pin here because I always tell people words are powerful. I remember when I got the vision for the purpose of my life, and I was told that I have to be careful about what I say because my words are powerful. And I always remember that because I think about before I tell anybody anything negative, I try to tell people, anybody on this who knows me know that I am the person who's always going to make you believe you could take over the world. That's me. Because I believe the words that I speak plays an important role in how people behave and how people what they become. You understand? Now,
Hmm.
the fact that she went and she crushed your dream of singing, and you did say that you never sang to that school again after she um, said those words to you. Let's talk a little bit about how those words at 5 years old, 5 years old.
Actually, I was eight. We had been around 8 or 9 because I was in the fourth grade,
Okay,
so I was a
those
little older
words
than 5 at this point.
5. Okay, let's look at how those words at 8, even so, 8 to 9 years old, shaped the rest of your life. Let's talk a little bit about that because it's hard to believe somebody would say, how she let that woman say that to her and she allowed that to feed into her life for the rest of her life. But people don't understand the power of words. Let's talk a little
Yes.
bit about how those words shaped the rest of your life.
Okay. Well, the thing is the words, and I always say that, and a lot of, and that is also one of the reasons why I even hesitated talking about it, because I was like, people will say, well, that happened from you as a child. Why is that still a thing?
Yeah.
But it's not so much her. It's not so much.
Mm,
It's what she fed. It's the seed that
hmm.
she planted.
That's right.
So
The
I
seed.
didn't. She
Yes.
didn't. She didn't exist to me anymore because we moved. we moved to another school, and my experience was completely different. However, the damage was done. I
Was
didn't
already
remember
done.
her as a
Yes.
person. I didn't remember her
Hmm.
as a person, but I still had a fear. Even though we had moved to Bahamas Academy and I went there from fifth grade up until graduation, even though there I took part in choirs or a duet or whatever but I don't remember going up and singing by myself. And
Mm.
even if I were to do it, I was shaken. So I,
Yes.
I didn't even perform properly because of the fear.
Mm.
So
Mm.
it just affected my confidence because I'm like I don't know what the reaction is going to be if I
That would
go up
be,
there and
yes.
do this and do that. And so it just she just did some damage that it just
Damage.
went on
Yes.
anyway. And
She
went on
planted
a
a
merry
seed that
way.
grew into a tree.
And then there were some kids who could do whatever they wanted to, and there was no punishment for them, nothing. It was like, they do what they wish. And you start to think that, okay, something must be wrong with this group,
Mm.
and then these ones must be,
Be better.
and that's,
They must be
as a
better.
child, that's what you start to think, like,
Hmm.
because you don't see it, but apparently she is seeing something
Something.
different in these
Yes.
children.
Because she's the adult and she's the one setting the precedent for everything that's taking place in that environment. So she's the one that's shaping and causing you to feel the way you were feeling. And people
Hmm.
people have to understand that especially with children. I have a grandson, the most amazing human being on the planet. I have a 3-year-old grandson, and I'm like, he has gecko powers. He has I'm playing cars and he's the big truck that runs over the cars, and he has this imagination and he just fascinates me with his imagination, and I feed into that. I'm on the ground, I'm like, yes baby, let's go get him, let's go get him, let's go get those bad boys and stuff. And
Uh-huh.
he and you see his face light up and he becomes this, he's believing the character that he's playing. And I have to play cat girl or something I have to be on any given day. I don't know who I'm going to be. You understand? And this is how I feed into who he is. And that's
And that's how
important.
he,
Yes.
yes.
And so when somebody comes and say, you can't be this or you can't do that or you're not this or you're not that, they destroy who you are from the core, because that's when you're young, that's when you believe in everything that you could take over the world. You
Yes.
understand? So when you
Yes.
say what you say, I completely understand, and I get it. But let's talk about how, as you grew older, out of school, how those words still carried with you and caused other things to now take place.
Well, those words even affected, I would say, even the way I spoke,
Mm,
because I can remember one time I heard a recording of my voice, and I realized that I spoke with this muffled tone, because
mm,
even though when it was ever time for me to speak up, I always kind of muffled my voice because it was the fear,
mm,
like I was going to get shut down, or probably with, even if sometimes I knew like if they have a question, if they ask a question and I knew the answer, and I'm sure this is correct, I won't say anything because I still felt like I'm going to get shut down, or so they're going to
mm,
say something. So it that fear just stuck with me. And
mm,
like I said, even though I didn't remember her, as I went through this, the seed, it
mm.
it it started to grow into a tree, I would say,
Yes,
and that's the
yes.
fruit that it bared. So
Mm,
it just affected me in every aspect, and I tried to pretend as though that's not what's going on, and I was really good
mm,
at it, because like I said, I didn't tell my mom anymore all of what was going on, because she was a stay-at-home mom, so she dealt with most of what we had to deal with and what have you. For the most part, she stayed at home, and my
mm.
dad worked. So, and like I said on the video, my mom was like the Bahamian Medea. You don't mess with her kids.
That's about
You
children.
know, if you, it's a difference if they did something wrong. You
Yes,
understand? But for something
yes.
like that, and to this day, you don't mess with her kids. We're adults, and like, you don't, no, no, you don't. You know, you
Don't do it.
that's a that's a no. You know,
Yes.
and everybody that knows her knows that. So, you know,
Hmm.
I started to hide it, but at home, like I functioned like everybody else because
Hmm.
I you know, I was in
The
that
pretense,
environment. But
and I think that's how the pretense started, because you were
yes,
masking, you were living that double life. That's a
yes,
mask you talk about.
yes. So they just didn't know, and then like you start processing things differently. So
Mm.
if someone says something, you start trying to read into, do they mean some, did they mean this,
It
or
does
you
that,
know,
doesn't it?
you start taking it to pieces and you know. So
Mm.
sometimes even if I say something, I be trying to figure out, did that come out wrong, you know, because I'm thinking
Oh,
now they're thinking like me,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know. So I'm thinking that, okay, did I offend them, or you know. So you play these things over and over in your head. So that's
Mm.
why something that may have happened 10 years ago, it's just as fresh as the day it happened, because you
Yes,
never stopped processing it over and over
and
and over,
over.
and you
Yes.
don't realize you're doing it. You
Let
don't
me tell you
realize you're doing
something.
it because
Sorry, not to. Sorry about that.
no,
When I was
okay, go ahead.
younger, I was always black. I own, well, dark brown, because I ain't black. I chocolate. And I remember when I was in school, and this guy said to me, "With your black self," and I never forgot it. And as I started to, I carried that for years and years. I never thought I was beautiful, ever, when I was younger, even up to teenage years and growing and all that, because I was slim. I was always slim, always had the boobs and the hips, but was always like slim. And I always, and I went into a shell with that. So I
Hmm.
understand exactly what you're saying. It took me a long time, a long time, to come to a place where I started to believe, even up to adulthood, even now. It took me a long time to come to this place. That's why when I tell people that I'm the most amazing person I know, and I'm like, I I own that, and I worked to get there, so I could own that. Because the words
Right.
people say, they don't know how powerful they are and how they cut. You understand? In all my chocolate, black, whatever you want to call it, big nose, the whole nine, I own all of that. You understand?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
but you have to work to get there.
Yes.
you know so I just
Absolutely.
wanted to say, I gotta kind of I kind of understand what it is you're saying.
And then this, she was like you said, evil. That's the only thing I can call it, because even as a teenager, I can remember I used to work at the food store
Mm,
part time, and I can
okay.
remember one time she came in the store. True story, I promise you. She came in the store. I was a cashier, and I
Mm,
remembered her because she had the same sulky face and whatever you, and I, you know, and she ended up to my cash register. And
mm,
as I was ringing up her stuff, when I was done, I was like, "Hi, how are you?" And I was like, you know, I called her by her last name and I told her my name. And
mm,
when I gave her my name, she was like, "Same
mm.
attitude, same
Wow.
attitude." And as I'm sitting here today telling you, you know what this lady did when I was done with her? She went to my manager and reported me because she wrote a check and I asked her for her ID.
Mm,
She went to the manager and reported me for that.
wow.
And I was like, after all these years, this woman still don't like me,
Still.
because you know I'm
Wow.
thinking now, because you know normally if you see your teachers
Your
and you're old
teachers,
enough, they be
yeah,
like, oh, even though they were horrible, you know, when they see you when you're old, they be like, child, I always knew you was going to grow up to be
can be
somebody.
some turn
But
out
not
to be
her.
somebody. Wow.
But not her.
Wow.
She still had that same cruel,
So
mean, you know. And I was
she
like,
further push you back.
and I explained to him. I said, you know, this woman taught me in primary school. She didn't like me then, and I, you know, and he was like, well,
Mm.
you're doing your job. You're supposed to ask for an ID. Doesn't matter if that's your mother. We need the information of that ID written on this check.
Yes, yes,
You know,
yes.
but even then, she still, you know, and I haven't seen her since. You know, but I
Mm.
said I just pray to God that she changed, because I mean, I'm sure there are a lot more children that
Well,
she
other,
left
yes, yes,
away. You
yes,
know, I'm sure
yes.
everybody did. Some people may have brushed it off and just left it there. You know, but
But
some people
everybody's
are
not the
stuck.
same. Everybody's not
Yeah,
the same. You understand? My thing is, you have to understand. I hope you've come to the realization that that was her thing, not yours. She had a problem, not
Yes,
you.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
But
And so,
like I said, she didn't. She no longer existed. But I had to. I It took me a while to notice my pattern of thinking
mm,
because nobody knew that's how I thought because I didn't look
mm-hmm.
like that's what I was thinking. And
Cause,
I was also very defensive for anybody who even suggests that. So
wow.
I was a person who you know you you had to approach me with on eggshells because I was
Mm,
like I would just snap out because I knew that okay, this person is probably seeing what I'm trying to hide if you dare say something along
mm-hmm.
that line. And so
Wow.
that's so I started like really um fixing myself up really really nice and dressing nice because
That mask.
it's still in the back of my head. I still felt like I had to prove that she is wrong, whereas it should not even be anything to prove, but you should just see that this is what it is and that's how it. So
Mm-hmm.
it was almost like I was trying to cover up
To,
what who
mm-hmm.
I was
To
seeing in the
prove her
mirror.
wrong. To prove her wrong
Yes,
almost. But then you
yes,
you were doing it. Yeah. But the thing about it is like, what you do is you in your head you're messed up, but on the outside you look good.
yes,
You look good messed
yes,
up in your head.
yes,
And you got a lot of people around you. You got
yes,
a lot of people around
a
you
lot.
walking around like that.
I always say, that's why you don't bother people, and I and
Mm,
and that also helps me too. Like people, sometimes people would be like, "Oh, this person didn't even speak and what have you," but it helped me to understand that sometimes the person probably didn't even see you. They're probably their
yeah.
mind was so far away they didn't even hear you, and
Mm-hmm,
so
hmm.
I try to not judge people.
Yes.
Not judge people for what you see on the surface because you don't know what's
Yes.
going on deep down inside. So, I tend to let things roll off my back when it comes to
Mm.
people and how they look and how they act and what they say
How they
sometimes
feel.
because like
The
I
thing
told
about
you
it is,
earlier, I even
uh-huh.
got to a point where I felt like everybody that's so happy all the time, like I was so wary of people like that because I'm like, you're hiding something. What are you hiding? Don't be
What
walking around
underneath
here hee
there?
hee ha ha. Nobody hee hee ha ha all the time. Come on, what you
Mm.
hiding? So I was always skeptical of people who are always happy because I'm like, those people don't exist.
I, no,
So
I exist because when you this right
no,
here,
but
this real.
I'm saying, but I'm saying that's how I felt.
Uh,
I was like,
mm.
those people, they didn't go on the ark, they drowned, so they don't exist.
Melva said they drowned.
So, so
The
that
thing.
was that was what I had all in my head, and that was that. You
Let's
know,
talk about the. Let's talk about the place of depression. Let's talk about how you got to the place of the. Let's talk a little bit about the depression that you went into based on the seed being planted and some of the other things that had happened. Let's talk a little bit about it. We talked about it. You alluded to it before. Let's just tell our audience members how powerful words are and how they can linger for years and years and years, festering to the point where they destroy people's lives.
uh, okay, the depression actually, because when I started doing the counseling, I realized that I said I was depressed most of my life because I was like, because what she did was she took me all the way back, and then when you start to realize the symptoms,
The whole road.
I was like, if they were like for every positive thing you put a finger down, I at the end of the conversation all my fingers were still up, so I was like, but I can remember, like I said, the one of the worst things was when my son died.
Mm,
Um, Me having to deal with that,
mm,
because and even to this day, if I know someone that has a death, I don't even
Mm.
know how to approach them because I can remember how I felt.
Mm-hmm.
I was,
Yes.
people say things and they don't realize that the space that the person is who's dealing with the grief,
Mm-hmm.
they don't want, you don't want to hear that. You don't want to hear, even though, people may say, oh, that song's bad, but you don't want to hear people say, oh, God knows what he's doing.
Doing. Mm.
And
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
you say I used to be like, I want to tell them, you saying that because your child home safe, your
Yeah.
child home
Yeah.
alive. You understand?
Mm.
And
Yeah.
I used to remember getting like really angry,
Mm.
and God knows best, and it was something I didn't want to hear. I didn't want
Yeah.
to hear it because
Yeah.
I felt so hurt because I was like, this isn't supposed to happen.
Mm.
This is my
Mm.
first child, and I was like, he was like just the sweetest thing, and he didn't look like how other children with sickle cell looked because they're
Wow.
normally smaller, and that's what the doctor
Mm-hmm.
said. They're normally small, and then they end up with the pulse, the stomach, because the spleen ends up, and so he didn't look like that. He was a chunky little boy, and even though he would get sick frequently, you know, I
Mm-hmm.
um I, I didn't know until I got him tested. At this point, he was about 10 months,
Wow.
and only after the fact I found out. Okay, you should not have him in school with other children because they told me that he should have his immunization shots
Mm-hmm.
and an additional shot they're supposed to get. So
Okay.
I started taking him to. He was seeing Dr. Patrick Roberts and Dr. Sanqui, I think that's how you pronounce her name. And they told me things that I should not have done. He had surgery. All these things helped break him down because
Wow.
of,
Mm.
and me not knowing. And
Okay.
so the day that he got sick, a normal child still went to the nursery, and I picked him up fine and went to work. And by the time I picked him up from his Grammy, and he was fine, but when he
Mm-hmm.
got sick through the night, he started running a temperature, and I'm like, okay, I got to take him to the doctor because I know they said these crises you don't wait. I took him to the
Mm-hmm.
doctor, and I never left the hospital. So I tell
Wow.
people, I tell people this is not like a child that was ailing.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
said that when he had any sickness, it was like temperature, you know, um, diarrhea, things like that. But it was never anything that was so drastic
So.
that required him in
Uh-huh.
the hospital until that day when I took him to the hospital and I never left. And
Wow.
they just kept calling me in, and when they came in, I can remember Dr. Patrick Roberts pulling me in and he was, I'm talking about tears in his eyes, and he's telling
Mm.
me we're trying to save him and
Mm.
we're doing everything and we can't.
Wow.
They said they brought him back a few times, but he was preparing me, and I
Mm.
felt like my whole soul came out of my body. I,
Wow.
I, I, I was like, this doesn't happen to me. I'm too young for this to happen because I was
Mm.
like about 22, 23. I was like, this don't
Wow.
happen. I'm too young. You don't bury your children. And
Yes.
I felt like after he died, even I felt like it was still they were pranking me. I was like, the next day when
Wow.
they called and they told me that they to take him to the mall. I thought they were calling to say, well, okay, he woke up. You could come back and get your baby. That
Wow.
was how I was thinking because and then I still had these voices saying, see you bad luck it. You look at it happen to you.
Mm.
Out
Mm.
of everybody, it happened to
Yeah.
you. You have one child, and you're looking at people with other children with a lot of children, and it sounds bad, but these are the thoughts that were going through my head, and I'm
Yes.
like, I have one,
Yes.
and people have all kind of children, and I have one. How come mine?
Mm.
How was it that my one child? And this was like December. This was Christmas time when everybody is happy and shopping
Mm.
and a jolly time, and here I am dealing with the death of my child.
Yes.
And I can remember waking up through the night to feed him, not
Wow.
realizing that he's gone, and
He's
screaming
gone.
out, and then And my mom, she came running down, and she didn't even know what to do, because she's like, well, I never buried a child. I can't
Mm.
even imagine
Begin
what
to
it
help.
is you're going
Yeah,
through,
begin.
and
Yeah.
I can remember the only way I was able to get through to deal with the funeral and what have you. I had three dreams, and I can remember that clearly. The first two
Mm.
dreams, I saw him playing in the clouds with this toy. He was just playing,
Wow.
and the last one, he was walking off with this person in the distance. See, these tears go
Mm.
start coming. They disrespectful. They be showing up without invitation. The tears. when he when
See, you don't you dare, because everybody on this live know I ain't gonna no. They know I awful. My
when I
daughter,
saw him in
let me show you how much. My daughter going and bring the whole thing of Kleenex.
the
It's
when I
like,
saw
daughter.
him once I saw him in the distance walking with this person, and I just could see them from the back, and it's an
Mm.
adult holding his hand. I was able to. It comforted me, and I said I knew that was God, and I was
Yes.
able to plan his funeral and do, and I buried him 2 days before my birthday,
Wow.
and that was my birthday is the 23rd of December. I buried him on the 21st. And the
Mm.
next day, I was like, I could still hear his little feet running through the hallways and stuff. I
Mm.
remember I didn't even clean the mirror on my bed head because his fingerprints were all over it. I
Wow.
had it there for months. I had it there for months because I just felt like that was all I had to hold
Wow.
on to. But people started to like, you could tell that they wanted to know, well, you still talking about that after like
Mm.
a few months, because uh, without really being,
Wow.
I mean, without even being conscious of it, a lot of people think
Hmm.
that's the end of it. Once you bury them, the funeral's over, the repast
Oh
is over.
no.
They
Oh
think that's it,
no. No.
you
That's
know.
not how that
But
go.
so I started hiding that. I was still mourning over that months afterwards. Like I said, I was able to tell you down to the day how many days he was dead, how many days, and I would go
Wow.
to his grave. I used to buy wreaths for him, and then I stopped buying them. I started making them because it was that important to me. I started making them
Mm.
myself and putting it on his grave, like, and even after I had my second son, I still people would think, well, okay, you have another child, so
You
it,
move
it's
on
still,
from
it's
that. Yeah,
still,
yeah. People are like
yeah,
that.
I still mourned, and I didn't know how to process a lot of things, and
Yes.
with 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 the depression and dealing with it, I also didn't know how to deal with this next child, because
Mm.
even though he's here,
Yes.
I still had all these things, like my head was like crammed with all these thoughts, all these emotions. So I
Hmm.
couldn't deal with him. And I felt like
Okay.
I robbed him out of a lot of stuff because of that.
Wow.
Because I should have gotten help, which
Yes.
I
But see,
didn't even. Go
realize
ahead.
that you needed it because you said something. You said something earlier. I'm going to go back when you said when your child died, you jump back to the thoughts of what of that teacher making you feel like you were not good enough. You were not. It happened to you because you weren't one of the good children or one of the. It's interesting how you talk about that, and the thing us is as a people, the human as a people, we don't like to get help. We like to think we use God as a crutch. We use religion as a crutch, and we don't like to go. Like somebody said, if you have a bellyache, you have to take something for that bellyache. If you have something going on in your head, you need to go and you need to get help to get that stuff processed in your head. If they recommend medication, unless God decides to heal you, you need to take your medication because that's what you need to be able to get through what it is that you need to get through. When I went through my separation in my marriage, I had to go and find someone to sit down and talk to. I see. I put things on the table because I want people to understand. I don't think I'm crazy. I'm one of the most sane person on this planet. But at that time, I needed somebody to help me to take those thoughts and take those things and clear them and put them in a place where I could deal with them and get them to the point where I could have control over them and then move on with my life. And a lot of women live behind a mask, like you say, because they do not know the process. One of the hardest things I think, and you lost a child. Two things I would say in this country people hide about us as women, especially. We hide about children, losing our children, what's going on with our children, and we hide about marriages, relationships, and that sort of thing. We wear a mask when it comes to those things. I think that is too because we are afraid of what people think about us, how people are going to feel, what people are going to say. And I could tell you I delivered from people, so that ain't going to ever be my issue. And I think we need to deliver ourselves from people because when you're dying, everybody else is out there living their lives and you worrying about people.
Yes.
They, we talked about they, remember?
Yeah.
We talked about the day. Let's continue on for me, please.
So,
You were
like I
talking
said,
about
pardon?
you were talking about how you were not able to reach out to your son because you were still carrying around all of the things from your
Yeah.
son that passed
Yeah.
away.
So, yeah. So like I said, I felt like I robbed him out of a lot of things because I didn't know how to process it. You know,
Mm.
I was over processing everything. That's what I was doing. Because like the normal thing that a mother would be able to deal with, it was like it was sending me mad because I was like I already had all this already going on in my head, and then to add to it,
Mm.
and I I had to go back and talk with my son and apologize to him and
Mm.
let him know, I see it now. Because
Yes.
also you don't take responsibility because you feel like the whole world is out for
Mm.
you.
Yes.
And
Yes.
some of it is you,
Mm.
but you feel like it's like we say them.
Yeah. Yeah. The them.
You caused this and you did this and you said that, and but it's never you.
Yes.
But I had to talk with him and let him know that I had apologized, and I told him I should have done
Mm.
a better job. I should have, and I took responsibility for it.
And that's
And
amazing. That's
he's
amazing.
my boy, and I love him. Trust me, he's 21 years old now,
That
and he
handsome
is.
chocolate boy of yours,
Yes,
like
I
me.
call him my chocolate boy. I didn't want to say it on
Oh
Facebook because I
no,
don't want to
my boy
tease him,
too,
but
chocolate.
I call him my chocolate boy all the time. But uh, and then with my daughter, when I had my daughter, I had depression. I had postpartum depression with her. So
Wow.
actually, I had it with all of them, but with her in particular, again, because as the years go by, like I said in the video, you after filing and filing and filing, and you're putting in and you're not taking
Mm.
anything out,
Mm.
this cupboard's starting to
The,
get full now.
the
So
clutter. Hmm.
when I had her, I could not deal with that either. So here I am
Wow.
on maternity leave, and as soon as she turned 6 weeks, I took her to the nursery, and I
Wow.
spent the rest of my maternity leave at home, and my daughter was at the nursery. And I tried to make it seem like, oh well, whatever, but
Mask
in actual,
again.
I could not, I could
Mask
not deal
again.
with it. Yes, I couldn't deal
Mm.
with it because she had this loud cry. Oh my
Mm.
gosh, the neighbor across the street used to tell me 5 o'clock every day. you know, she would just cry until her lip trembles. And then, like, it's like, what I was crying for, I don't want it anymore. I'm just going to cry for the rest of the day. So it used to just send me crazy. And I was like, I can't deal with this. I know. And then even as she got older, when would get off from work, I'm saying now, okay, this is time for me to unwind and just hear myself think. When I pick her
Mm.
up from school, she would, and she still can do it today. She would talk from she jump in the car until one time I actually timed her, and she talked from she jumped in the car of the Temple Christian until we got out east. Without it didn't matter that I wasn't replying. It didn't matter. She just went from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next, and I was like, oh God, you know. But I had to deal with it, I had to deal with it. But and a lot of times I would find myself saying things to them and having to go back and apologize because, like I said,
Wow.
hurt people because
Yes, yes, yes.
you find yourself doing some of the same things that was done to you. You find
Yes.
yourself doing some of those things, and then you look back and you be like, even though you said it like that, that's not what you meant. But the
What you
bottom line
meant.
is that's what they heard.
Yes,
That's
yes.
that's what they heard. So
Wow.
I was like, I gotta get it together. And like I said, it wasn't until a little over, that was about 2 years ago, when I left my job because the wall started to come down now
Wow.
because
Yeah,
I
because you only
couldn't.
could wear the mask. You only could live behind that mask for so long.
Yes,
After a while, that mask starts to fall apart. And then when it
yes,
starts to fall apart, now this is where the rubber meets the road, and you have to decide whether or not you now are gonna do what it takes to save yourself, or you're gonna go down with the ship. It's as simple as
yes.
that,
And
you know.
at this point, I started to notice that I couldn't remember a lot of things. Like something would have happened yesterday, and
Wow.
I couldn't remember it. So my thoughts were
Mm-hmm.
starting to get a little jumbled up, and
Mm,
I started making a lot of mistakes at work. And I'm
mm,
like, people would see it as, oh, you just being careless. Oh, how could you make
mm.
this mistake? Because they don't know what's going on behind
Going
the
on.
scene with
The
you.
mask, because you're wearing
You
the
know,
mask. They can't see because you ain't let nobody see behind the mask.
right?
That's just. Mm,
And so I'm here, and I'm like, I can remember we had just come off a family vacation, my family, and I was like, I got up and I was making my bed. I can remember that clearly. And the tears
mm,
just started rolling uncontrollably. I could not stop. I told you my tears so disrespectful. They show up
mm,
uninvited. They just come, and they were pouring, 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 and I was like, and I was like, I can't even tell anybody what I am crying for. So
mm,
I'm trying to wipe my face because I don't want my daughter to step in the room and see me, and she'd be like, "What happened?" You know,
mm,
and I'm like, I have a good marriage. My husband, I mean, I love him. We have an excellent relationship, and I'm like, why can't you get it together? Why
mm.
can't you just think like normal people think and process things? You know, you
That's
know,
the mask he was wearing. That's what.
and like, so I remember I spoke with him, and I told him, I said, I think I need to, and I mean, I want to leave my job. And he thought I was just being extra because I'm the extra queen when I'm ready, so so he didn't even take me serious. But it wasn't until I went back to him and the tears started pouring again. They started, and I told him I can't function. And sometimes I'd be shaken because I just, like, in nerves, because I wasn't sleeping. That was another
Wow.
thing. I wasn't sleeping, so I'd be up most of the night. When sometimes he would get up and come and check on me, like, because he just notice I'm missing, and I'll be like either sitting watching. And I try to watch, like, I used to watch a lot of Joel inspirational stuff to try change to distract my
Thinking.
thoughts,
Yeah.
and that
There goes that
helped.
religion.
It helped. It helped because what I started to realize was these thoughts are what was the problem, because
Mm,
I didn't see that before, because where it was a pattern, I didn't
hmm.
see it's like a crack in the wall. You
Yeah,
didn't notice it before.
and all it does is keep going down unless you chip that out and put the cement back in. I used to do construction, make cement and sling blocks. If you don't chip that out and put that back in there and repair that and stop that from going, that's what happens. It just goes and it goes and
Yes.
it goes.
So I
And the
did.
thing, no, you go ahead.
Go ahead.
You go
Go ahead.
ahead.
No, so I wasn't sleeping, so I would be up the whole night. Then I would get rest for work, to be at work for 7:30 in the morning, and this is getting my daughter dressed, taking her to school and trying to get on the job on time. Sometimes by the time by 8:30, I probably already made like three different mistakes. And while I'm trying to correct one mistake, I made another mistake, and I'm trying to figure, well, how come I can't get this right? But because it's
Mm.
like I just could not focus. And this particular day, I'm sitting at my desk, and the tears started, and I'm like,
Mm.
oh my god, I'm like, I'm the only one at work at this
Unruly and
point, so I'm like,
disrespectful.
I'm serious. They show up and without any invitations, and and I'm like, if someone walks in here and see me, they're gonna be like, child, her husband must he got problems, eh? Oh, child, I can't
Because
even
that's the first thing, right?
you know how we go, right? So I was like, I can't even, if they pull me in, I can't even tell them what's the problem, because
Hmm.
there's no one thing I can say is the problem. So
Yes.
I jumped up from my desk and I went in the restroom and I tried to gather myself, and I'm sitting there, and I was like, I felt like I was like on edge. I was like,
Mm.
if someone says the wrong thing to me today, I think I'm gonna like just go off, because I felt like I just couldn't deal with anything. Like I was like,
Hmm.
I think if someone just said good morning at that point, I would have just freaked out and been like, "What's so good about this morning?" And don't be smiling. What you smiling at?
Well, I'm
And I was
laughing
like,
because no, see, and the thing about it is, you looking at you, you can never tell because you're all together. You would have never been able to tell. And see, that's the problem right there. And that's the thing. We have so many angry black women in this country. Sometimes it scares me the way no, seriously. If you go on the jobs, most of the jobs now, and you see these women who are angry and they snapping at people and stuff, and people can't go back to the government office because they tell them don't come back and all kinds of stuff. And you'd be that's why you say, when you said do not judge, that right there stuck with me because if you really look at what people going through, what people got hidden, every day hidden, especially as we put on these brows and we put on our lipstick and we get our hair did
they
and
speaking.
we push up these boobs and we head out the door. You
That's
know?
what I always tell them. I'm like, trust me, you never know what's going on behind
I'm
that
telling
smile.
you. I'm telling you.
You never know, But when I had to make the hard decision, because I'm like, this is my job that I've had for 15 years, and
Hmm.
that I loved. There's no one thing that I could have said, that, oh, I want to leave because they did this and they did that. Like
Mm.
I felt like I just needed to just pull back and just, well, at this point I'm saying I need to go in my shell. You
Yes,
know,
yes, yes. Not
you
saying go to get help now. Not saying go to get help. You're
yes,
trying to now finish mask it.
I didn't want the interruption of my work day to get in
Mm.
the way of my thoughts now. I wanted me and my thoughts to just sit together in a dark room and just be miserable,
Yes.
and I
Hide it. Finish hide
even
it.
even yes, and even the simple as the phone ring, that was like
Mm.
somebody like is blowing a horn in my ear. That's how I was
Wow.
processing things at this point.
Wow.
And I was like, and I got up from my desk and I was trying to keep it together, and I went into my manager. And I always shout out to her because she is like the sweetest person ever, and I love her dearly because I told her how I was feeling, and some of it she I would I would tell her, we feel this way and that way, and she didn't judge me.
Wow.
She
That's
said, she
amazing.
was like,
Yeah.
and she was like, it would be selfish because I could remember we were short staff at the time because someone was on maternity leave, and I was like, she was like, it would be selfish for me to ask you to stay, which I want to
Mm.
do, So she said, think about it before you actually do it and be sure that that's what you want to do. And I can remember 2 days later, I bought my letter in and I told her I said I had to do it because I knew that I couldn't function. And, even to say, well, take a leave of absence, I think it would have made me feel like I had to hurry up and get better. Because even if I had said taking
Okay.
3 months off, I would have been feeling like, oh, you got 3 months to get it together. I don't know if
Yeah.
that
And then
makes
that
sense,
would have been
but
pressure. That would have been
yes,
pressure, and that would have
yes,
made it just as bad. Yeah.
yes. So,
Let's
I
let's talk about when you came to the realization that you needed to get help. Let's talk about what brought you to that point.
when I while I was at home, I started to, after listening to a lot of the inspirational stuff, I started to, because at this point I started to realize that when I listened to like the gospel and the inspirational stuff, I was listening to a lot of, like I said, Joel and the Steve Harvey speaking, his motivational stuff. And I started to realize that, hey, you don't have to be like this. And then Steve Harvey told a story also about when he was a child and the teacher told him, he's not gonna, he stutters, and
Mhm.
how you gonna be on a TV show? So when I was like, I need to get, I need to get some help. And then I started saying to myself,
Mhm.
well, I don't want to go and see someone here, and then I'm sitting down in front of them crying like somebody died because I'm telling them, oh, I accidentally burned the dinner and I can't do nothing right. And then, and they looking at you like, really, miss? Seriously? And and I'm like dead serious, and I'm looking at her and I'm like, and I'm saying to myself, like, these people are gonna say, girl, you straddle crazy and you step over. And I was like,
Not
so
this Scotland.
so I said, I don't want to run into this therapist in the food store or at an event, and I'm feeling like, if they just laugh at something, I'll be like, oh, they laughing at me, or they think they telling people this girl, see her there, she crazy, so I was like, I didn't want to do that, so I kept putting it off. And like I fell asleep one day with the television on, and here come up this ad with online counseling.
Mhm.
So I was like, Lord, I thank you. I jumped up and I wrote the information down, and I researched it, and um, I googled them, and I said, well, okay, I signed up, and they
Mhm.
told me, well, they'll give me a week where I was able to, you know, see what it was all about. And I did 3 months, and then I did another 3 months. My counselor happened to be someone that had a child with sickle cell, and her daughter was cured from it, because at this point they have a cure in place where you can use the blood from the cord of one of your other children. So
Wow.
from then on, yes.
Mm.
So she had another baby, and they used his cord blood to, to
Help the other child.
have the other child. So
Wow.
she
Wow.
knew just where I was coming from, and she just told me how I needed help, and it was just uphill from there. It was
The thing,
uphill
the
from there.
thing, the thing about it is, though, you said something that we were laughing, but um, that's a lot. That's part of the reason why a lot of people don't go and get help, because they think that persons are going to go and talk your business and all that kind of stuff. But let me just say that we have a lot of professional persons in this country that you can go to, and you don't have to
I
worry about them
agree.
talking
I
about you in the
agree, but
food
that was
store.
my thoughts. That was
I
my thoughts,
know.
and nobody could tell
I
me different.
understand that. I get that. And uphill from there is coming to the point where the video goes on Facebook. Let's talk about how you got the courage to put the video out to and it may seem simple, like you say, to some people, because I do this every day. I do this for a living. This is what I do. And I've been in front of a camera for a while, and talking for me is not a problem. That's always been my thing. I know that's my gift. So
Mhm.
I talk a lot, but I talk sense. Okay? For me,
Mhm.
this is easy. But tell people how that video that is on Facebook was something that helped to win you back some of your power, some of your strength to move on with your life.
Well, I kept trying to run away from that. Actually, I kept trying to run away from it. I found every reason in the book why I shouldn't do it. But
Mm,
this thing just kept nagging at me, just kept nagging at me. And I was like, you had the courage, okay, to do what you did. You can help somebody else by telling
that's
your
right.
story.
That's right.
And people that know you and that people worked with you for years, people that knew you from way back then, who thought that everything was fine, would get to see that. Guess what? You know, this is someone that looks like me, so it's
That pretty
okay that
mask.
that I'm going through these things, because she got help, and she's he's doing a lot better, and look at what she's doing now. So I
Hmm.
said, if I can just help one person, I
One.
would be, that would be
Every
amazing to
that'll
me.
be everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
And
So
that was my reason behind it.
okay. Now you went out, you did the video, and even before that you have your business. Let's talk a little bit about your business, which is Diva Debonair. And I'm wearing one of your pieces. I am wearing
Yeah.
one of your pieces. Here you go. Here
I,
you go. And the one that you
Debonair
have
with
on, and you have fabulous pieces. Let's talk about that.
thank you. It's Debonair with a B though. You have a B. It's
That's
Debonair.
me. I am apologetic.
That's
Let me go
fine.
in and fix
But
it. You
but
you go ahead.
this business with me selling jewelry and handbags and scarves and shades, I would say this is birthed from my dark place, because I feel as though these were the things that I use to try and cover up and
Ta-da!
hide
Corrected. Uh-huh.
and
Go
hide
ahead.
that girl, so I would say what that dark place did for me,
Mm.
and I was just watching something this morning where they said, don't run from your dark place, because what you may think is a tomb can actually be a womb. So
There you
what it
go. I
does is
like that.
it births something new inside of you. So
Hmm.
all these years, what even though I was doing what I was doing, I still was creating this business
Hmm.
from that dark place. So
When
I still love dressing up. I still love transforming myself, but it's not because I'm hiding,
anymore,
myself from. Yes,
anymore,
it's because I just
anymore.
love this girl now. I just love her, and I am just so I am so impressed by the things I do, because I'm like, this is the brave little girl that I knew as a
No,
child.
that's right.
And I see my kids doing brave stuff. I'm like, I know they got it from me. I know that they got that from me. And a lot of times, like I said, when I'm doing my show, I'm saying to that little girl, that teacher was wrong. She was wrong what
That's
she
right.
said. She was wrong for what she did. And look, it doesn't matter what they say, because at the end of the day, when you think about who you're saying is they, it's not a particular person. It's
They.
just this that you have made up, and you're just saying
Mm,
they. And
yep.
like, if you mind that your whole life will pass by, but you
Yes.
just keep putting things off because you're afraid of what they're gonna think and what
What
they're gonna
they?
say.
They. They ain't paying your bills. They ain't having the roof over your head. They ain't feeding
Not
you.
at
So
all.
what they think, if I worried about what they think, I wouldn't be sitting here right now. And they still thinking while I doing what I doing. And they can keep
Ain't
thinking
that
while I go
something?
on from here and be doing something else. That's not my problem. What somebody thinks about me is not my problem. That's their problem. And the thing you
That's
said, one of the things you said is that um, you did what you did from a place of the dark place, and let
Yep.
your dark place could be your birthing, your womb. For you to be able to
Yeah.
push out your giftings and your talents. I truly believe, this is just me. I believe that everything that I went through in my life was to bring me right here to do what I'm doing right now. I believe that with
Yeah.
all my heart. All the
Yes.
pain, all the good times, everything. When we're going through pain, we only feel the pain. We don't understand that God have a purpose and a plan for our lives. And in an effort for
Yes.
Him to get us to where we need to go, sometimes, because sometimes He be telling us in a nice way and we don't get it. So sometimes He's have to put us through things or push us, that eagle in the nest, pushing the baby out the nest thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes He's have to do some harsh things to us to kick us out for us to understand you need to move from this place to move to your next place. This season right here that we're in, there are going to be a lot of people that are going to get kicked out of the nest because God is
Mhm.
He's requiring some things of us in this season. And you're here doing what you're doing, I believe. And the reason why you're here is because you're in a you're a part of what God wanted me to do, because you have an assignment. And the thing about it is, it's like in this season, he's going to kick a lot of people out of the nest, because we have to come out of our comfort zones and start. God say, try him and try him to see if what we've been talking about all these years, when we've been putting on the 10-gallon hat and the fancy dress and going to church and sitting in front, now try him to see if all that stuff is real. So that now in this season, we have to now take the word, if you was getting any of it, the word and the stuff that you got, and put it to the test now, and try him and see if he's the God that he says he is. And that's what I'm doing, because like I'm like, I should try, and you obligated to take care of me because that's what you say, and I just ignorant like that. And I don't worry about what people think or how they feel. No, I ignorant. I can tell you, I trust them. I just trust them, and I don't worry about what people think or how they feel. That's their problem, not my problem. Because I live in my life and I having a fine time doing it too. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because I've grown and I've worked to be able to have this, and I admire what you've done. I admire where you've come to. I see all those fancy bags in the back of you. Let's talk about some of those bags. That's a part of
So
your
these are,
business as well.
it's a part of my business as well. Like I was telling you, I convinced my husband to turn one of our bedrooms into a studio for me. And after me getting the stink eye about 3 times, he was willing to
He,
remove
he went along with
a
you.
bedroom set. Remove a bedroom set because I know you was like, girl, listen here. And of course I'm not lifting anything. I'd be like, okay, you could put that there and you could put this
Take
over
that over
there.
there.
And,
Take,
but I am loving it because this is like my place I can go to and just get away from everything, and I have
yes.
everything in one place now, because I'm doing the online, loving that look video now. So I do my show and I just
Tell people where your show's at. Tell people how they can find your show.
it's on Diva Debonair on Facebook. And what it is I do a showcase where I
You
try on
showcase the
a
pieces.
few pieces and
Hmm.
allow them to see how the piece looks on an actual person as opposed to seeing it on the neck of a mannequin or in a
Yes.
photo, which gives you a
Yes.
different appreciation of the piece. So
It's really
that's what the
beautiful.
show is about, and
Yeah.
I love doing it. I just see great things for me, and with this whole show online and what have you, and I just thank God that I decided to take the leap. I'm so happy that that voice, like something that Keishel said to me, Keishel Davis, who helped me with the online business lab I did a
Love that
course,
woman.
and she said in one of our classes was, you hear those voices and you may think that they're going to go away because you ignore them, but they're like children, they just get louder and louder and
Hmm.
louder. So
Hmm.
sometimes you need to address them and you need to say, well, okay, I heard you, okay, you
Yes.
said I can't do it, I'm going to show you that
Let
I
me show
can.
you what I. Oh, my children
you
will
know
tell you. Don't tell my mommy what she can do, because she can show you what she can do.
yeah,
Just
so
don't tell
the sky's the limit for me right now.
I am so
I
proud of you.
I'm in a new place. I'm in a new space. This is everything is still new for me because the whole way of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to say a brand new me because everything that I went through was a lesson, and I'm not going to leave
Mm-hmm.
that behind. But it's an improved me. I have the wisdom and the knowledge of what I went through, but it's the same me, but I'm just equipped with so much more information that I can use it and not looking at it as something bad. Like I said,
Yes.
it wasn't a
Yes.
tool; it was a wound.
There you go. We're going to take a break right here, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk a little bit more. We're going to talk a little bit more about all the fancy stuff that you're doing, and some of the things you are planning for the future. We'll be right back.
Okay.
This is gonna suck. Biore charcoal cleansers suck out 2 times more dirt, oil, and impurities. That's why Biore charcoal sucks. Better. Biore. Free your pores.
Hi, we're back. You don't want to see me dancing. You don't want to see me dancing too.
I
That's okay. You don't want to see me dancing to the music for the BRA and the Black Opal. But let me just take this opportunity to say thank you to Farmers Wholesale Agency for being a sponsor of the show with their BRA Rose Quartz and Charcoal Facial Cleanser. It is amazing. It has done my skin well. I can tell you that. It has lessened my pores and it's cleaned them out. And oh, your girl, I could get a facelift and I'll be good right now. No, I love me just as I am. No, the BRA, it is really good. And I'm not just saying that because they're a sponsor. I've used it and it does what it says it does. It cleans your pores and it leaves your face glowing. It really does. And then I have to talk about the Color Splurge lipsticks. Listen, ladies, y'all don't see me wearing this pink all the time because I'm dark and this pink just does something for me. I tell you, when I come in a room, my lip comes before me. This Color Splurge, they have all different colors they got. They have a ton of different colors. So for those of you who like the blue, I'm going to wear the blue next week so you guys can have a look at it. They have different names, and I'm going to get all the names for you guys, and I'm going to bring some in this week. I'm going to bring some in next week Tuesday, so you can have the opportunity to see all the different colors that they have to offer. That's Color Spurge. It's distributed by Commonwealth Drugs, and you could get both of these products at the major pharmacies in the country. So now that the country is open, you could go ahead and you can pick up these products at the major pharmacies around the country. Now, I'm having a special show coming up this Friday. I have a show. We're going to be talking about health. We're going to be talking about female health. We're going to be talking about male health. So all of you who have men in your lives and know that they need to take better care of their health, you can join me on that show on Friday. I have two international persons from a company called Sankey that will be speaking to you about the product. And believe it or not, this product it aids in helping to build your immune system. And that right now is of vital importance because we know with all of the COVID that's going on, this product is excellent at that, helping to build your immune system. And it's good for men who may have issues with impotence, what is called impotence, have a little erectile dysfunction thing going on. It's good for women for menopause. It's an amazing product, and I want you to join me on Friday so that you can find out about the product and work on purchasing it so that you can boost your immune system. You can let your children take it, babies can take it. All your family members will be able to take it to help to boost your immune system. And we have a lot of testimonials. They have testimonials of persons who've taken it who's been tested and had COVID and gotten through the COVID based on this product. Okay, they're not claiming anything, but they are saying that they have persons who were actually tested and that recovered from this product. And I've used the product, and I know that it's an awesome product. And as a woman, it's good for your body, especially as we get older. We tend to forget to take care of ourselves as we get older as women. I have so much energy now and so much life about myself. I am just loving this thing. Loving it, loving it. I'm sorry. Melva, I go on those trips, you know? I go on those trips in my head. I'm loving it. I'm happy. I want us, one of the things that I want to say to the persons watching, the country is open and we have to be careful about how we take care of ourselves. We have to social distance. We have to remember to social distance. We have to remember to wash our hands, and we have to remember, because it's not just about us. You can't think for just yourself because you have loved ones, you have husbands, you have children, you have grandchildren, and you want to take care of all of them. And in taking care of yourself, you now can take better care of them as well. And one of the things I would like to say as well, as women, we have to learn how to take care of ourselves on the whole, because we have this habit of taking care, just like Melva was saying, we take care of everybody else and we do everything for everybody else, but we do not take care of ourselves. And we know that mental health and I'm not talking about Melva's case, mental health is something that we have challenges with in this country because we see everybody is crazy. I could be crazy, if getting help can make me better. We have to come to understand that if something is wrong with you in your mind and it's just depression, or you're thinking a little off, or you're going through something, you go to the doctor that is required to deal with that, and you do what they say, and you pray to God for his wisdom in how to take care of yourself. But please take care of yourself, and it is necessary, because if you're not whole for yourself, You cannot be the part that you're meant to play for others because you're broken, and you cannot help anyone else because you're not helping yourself. And as women, we have to make sure to do that. Try to find a quiet place to take time for yourself. I go to the beach on Saturdays. I talk to no human until 12 o'clock on a Saturday. I go out early in the mornings, try to get some exercise. And even though we're in COVID, try to get some exercise, and I'm being better with that. I'm going out and I'm doing some running. I'm gonna go in the morning. I'm gonna be out in the morning, first thing in the morning. Ooh, when that water opened yesterday morning, I was in that water. Lord Jesus, it was so good. And you have to find places where you have a peace. Like Melva says, she has a room where she can go and get her time, her space to be down and to be able to clear her head and all that. And I understand that. I go to the beach. That's my safe place. When the beach was closed, I used to do drive-bys. I used to do drive-bys just to see it, because just looking at it helps to make me feel better. And that's one of my safe places. And then I spend time with friends. I have quite a number of girlfriends. I have Yolanda, I have Meglin, I have so many girlfriends. There's so many on here. I have Donna. You just find people that you can talk to, and sometimes it's just good to check on some other persons as well. You just check on people to make sure that they're okay. And when you're doing that, it takes you out of your own head, and you're helping someone else too to make sure that they're okay. And so for me, I try to lead a balanced life as best I can, because we have to live a balanced life. And if you don't, you're gonna find yourself in trouble. If I find that I'm tired or my mind isn't saying something, girlfriend putting on all her clothes and she going somewhere to pull herself together. You understand? And then I coming back to face whatever needs to be faced. And if you have toxic people in your life, get rid of toxic people. I'm telling you, because at the end of the day, when you're building, while you're building up, they chipping out the block at the bottom. You understand? So you have to take care of yourself, ladies. Take care of yourself. Melva, let's talk about all the wonderful things you have planned for the future for your life.
Well, for the future, I have, like I told you, I got big dreams. I got
I
big
know, and
dreams,
I on our
and and sometimes I find myself, like, girl, how you gonna do this? And I have to remind myself that ain't your business.
not your
You just
business.
you just you just leave it to God. He got you. I would like one day to carry my own brand. I am very, very good with my hands in terms of creating. I
Mm,
love, like, being in that space by myself, and even a part of that was me transforming myself. I'm so good at it that, like, my husband and I will be going out, and
mm.
tell you no lie, he would literally get dressed and he would go and sit either in the TV room or in the vehicle and wait. And when I come out, he'd be like, "Damn, girl, how you do that?" Like,
You look
I look
good.
like a completely different person. One time he came and picked me up for lunch, because by the time he gets off, I'm already at work, because he would get off like 5 o'clock in the morning sometimes, and I already left. By the time he gets home, I would have already left. And
Mm.
one time he came and picked me up for us to have lunch, and I'm walking towards his truck, and he's looking at me, and I'm trying to figure, why is he looking at me like that? And when I came right up to the vehicle, he was like, "I'm trying to figure out where I know this woman from." He said, "No joke." He said, "I did not even know that this was you." Because that is what I just love to do it. And he was like, "Oh my God, girl." He said, "I didn't." He said, "Honestly, I'm trying to figure out who this woman is and why she come and walk into my truck."
Let's say hi to your husband, Stephen, and let's say we honor him for being a husband that stuck by you through everything you went through. Because here at the Whole Woman, I like to make a disclaimer: we love men, and I
Yeah,
want to help to encourage the men that are doing what they're supposed to do for their wives and the women in their lives. And I really respect men who can do that. So you let
yeah.
him know that here at the Whole Woman, we say hi to him and we honor him
I
for
will.
who he is.
I will. I will. Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you so
But
much for being with me. You go ahead.
thank, thank you. No, I'm just saying. I just see big things, and I just, I'm just learning to trust. That you deserve it. You can get it too.
Yes.
If one
Yes.
person, if God allows one person to get it in this whole world, then that means you
Yes.
can get it too.
Yes.
You can get
Whatever
it
your
too.
vision is, I want to encourage women here. Let me tell you something. I'm like this. When I wanted to find out, there was a thought that came in my head, and I wanted to know if I could do a radio show. And I said, okay, let's try this. I had the first ever radio show on Joy FM, ever. And I did it. And I just did it because I wanted to know if I could do it. And then I wanted to start a magazine, and I started the magazine, and it was distributed by the Tribune. And I just wanted to know if I could do it. Anything you see me put in my head, I give it a try. Failure don't scare me. I will fail, and I will fail up. Okay? If you have a dream or a vision or something, don't be afraid to fail. Just jump in, give it all you got. And when you would have given it everything that you have, at the end of the day, you could walk away and know that you gave it everything. Don't do it that way no more. Don't do that one. Try it a different way, and it may work. Don't be afraid of life. Life is meant to be lived and to be enjoyed and to be like the all the juice out of it. And just when you get, like Daddy Miles used to say, die empty. Die empty. Love as hard as you can. Give as much as you can, help someone while you're going, and be the best you that you could possibly be. And once you would have done that, you have no regrets. You know, I have no regrets. My two of my most amazing accomplishments in this world are my two children, my daughter Aisha and my son Stevie J, and I love them to pieces. And I have my grandson now, and I'm about to have my son-in-law, and I am just the most amazing woman. I'm at peace, and I work for this. I keep telling people do the work, and then you could sit and you could be like, okay, like Melva and I are breathing now. Thank you so much for being with me, Melva. I am in love with you.
Thank you for having me.
You are so welcome. I'm sure we'll be doing other things together. Like I said, I'm wearing one of her pieces. I want you guys to go over to her Facebook page, Diva Debonair on Facebook, and go ahead and make some purchases. You'll see lovely pieces there that could go with any outfit. Go ahead and support her. And I look forward to doing some stuff with you in the future. I would like to say thanks to Edith Smith, Raquel Adderley, Alvita Ward, Deborah Morgan Roth, my girl. Oh, my girl, Deborah. That's my girl. Bernell, Mackenzie, Rose, Rose Bevan. Sorry, I'm getting my glasses this week, guys. Tomorrow it's supposed to be here. Donna Maria, Doral Roll, everybody who's been a part of the show. Thank you so much, Miss Nairn. I saw Miss Cash here. I know she must be my family because I'm a Cash before I'm a Wiley. I'm Miss Ann. Thank everybody for being here, and I love you guys. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for supporting. I look forward to seeing you again next week, Tuesday at 1 p.m. again. And don't forget, on Friday we have a special show. I'll do the promo video and send it out. Watch out for that and be there. I'm going to be doing some giveaways during that show, so I want you to be over there to be a part of some giveaways. And next week I'm going to have I have another set of giveaways that I want to get, and we're going to do some more giveaways with the BRA products next week. So join me next week, and we're going to have a ton of giveaways. Thank you, everybody. I love you guys. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.